The blessing, the miracle, and the beauty of survival blooms greatest when any creature faces death. Now, a deep subconscious and creative genius explodes, and when we survive, reshapes how we evolve, even. Now, as the levers of power shift to today's world, descendants of colonized people face the prospects of potentially insurmountable equity gaps in the future. So perhaps it is time to re explore the meaning of survival. I imagine being backed in a corner with only one chance to get it right or perish, and when I do, a single question emerges. Can the economic impact of slavery and colonialism be reversed in a single generation? And if so, how? That would create some room to move if one were backed in such a corner. And if such a thing were possible, it'd be worth every risk to find out or explore. So let's do that. Let's look at the problem. What put mammals at the top of the food chain was an ability to work together for common good, the social brain. And while social organization may have been our greatest gift, like all things, it has its limits. There's a Chinese maxim that states, at their extreme, all things revert naturally to their opposite. And perhaps just past the boundary of our great gift lies our great flaw, a capacity to suspend empathy and to express and exclude, which, when is amplified by our human problem-solving brain, expresses this systemic oppression. So much genius and value have been lost over millennia simply due to misperception. This is outdated. 10,000 years of civilization have proven that. And the greatest testimony of an ecosystem's strength lies in its biodiversity. And humanity is no different. But for descendants of enslaved and colonized people, especially women, this problem does hit different. The conservative economic impact of global slavery and colonialism from the years 1500 to 2000 in today's money is 78 trillion. Some estimates double or triple that. The slave trade gave the U.S. economy a $20 trillion head start at virtually no cost, and in total gave colonial powers a $78 trillion start in a new global economy. So the general problem may be systemic oppression and inclusion, but the bottom line for us is that we started $78 trillion behind in a centuries-long economic marathon. That's quite a distance to cover. How do we create the overwhelming value or velocity needed to overcome such an impossible economic distance in the span of just one generation? Now, the right investment assets chosen at the right time are like rocket ships for value. And one asset has met truly these qualifications: cryptocurrency. Blockchain technology, starting with Bitcoin, has grown by a factor of 100 million X since its birth in 2009, when 5,000 Bitcoin cost $5. Bitcoin's value alone has grown by a factor of 10 million. This is unprecedented, but also for good reason. Blockchain is a superior technology that allows for transparent yet virtually incorruptible financial systems. Now, imagine if the descendants of colonized people had been gifted 10 Bitcoin in 2009. It would have cost about a dime per person across the world. Each would have about $1 million in Bitcoin in value today. And had a government or a philanthropist had the foresight to see this, they could have created a full reparation fund without extracting any resources from the current status quo in half a generation. So when we look back at our question, what if we could seed a generation in such a way? Provide a digital seed packet, so to speak, full of a cryptocurrency designed to grow by a factor of 10 million X in 10 to 15 years, and assigning one to living descendants of enslaved and colonized people all over the world. Now, that may sound great, but hasn't the ship of growth for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin sailed already? Surprisingly, no. And here's why. Think of electricity when you think of currency. All currencies are mediums of exchange, and there's levels to them. At the most basic level, a currency is like a store of value. It's like a battery. Think of the portable battery for your phone. The more value it stores, the stronger its currency. The stronger currencies have higher value. Once a battery has stored enough value, it can give value or charge or power to other batteries without losing its own. This is the next level or function of money, becoming a medium of exchange. But there's a catch. To become a popular medium of exchange, a currency must not only be strong, but stable. Now, if a currency is too volatile or unpredictable, people will use it less. Imagine if that portable battery didn't work sometimes when you needed it, or it could surge and shock you when you didn't expect it. So here's where the unique opportunity lies. Despite its unprecedented growth, blockchain has not and cannot unlock its true potential as an asset until its mainstream usage evolves from store of value to popular medium of exchange. Why? There's many reasons that crypto hasn't crossed this medium of exchange gap from a mainstream status yet. But Bitcoin's processing limitations, mainstream awareness, and its early stage of growth are all part of that, and they'll unfold organically over time. But also the stability of crypto requires to transition to a medium of exchange requires that governments and institutions use it as a reserve asset to basically charge their batteries. And this has started happening at small levels, but needs to scale significantly to gain true traction, although the current U.S. administration is starting to encourage this. What it means, though, is that Bitcoin is projected potentially to be a global medium of exchange by 2075 or before, with a projected market cap of 100 to 150 trillion. By 2050, it's projected to have a market cap of 60 trillion. As of this writing, its current market cap being what would happen if all the Bitcoin in the world was sold, its current market cap is 2 trillion. To put that in perspective, the U.S.'s current GDP is 28 trillion. So Bitcoin will probably represent an area of value twice that in 25 years. But bottom line is its current market cap is 2 trillion and it's projected to grow another 58 trillion in the next 25 years. So there's quite a bit of room left for growth. And that growth is our opportunity. Now, a medium of exchange is essential for exchange, but for a currency to truly take off, it needs a stable system of exchange. And a medium of exchange is like water, and that system of exchange is like the pipes and hoses that it flows through. And the first system of exchange is our ecosystem. And at their essence, our financial systems or economies reflect this. Similar to how transactions power our currency batteries, exchange powers our ecosystems, both natural and artificial. The exchange rate within a financial system literally reflects the stability, value, and resiliency of a currency, and by extension, its economy. Nature's exchange rate is reflected through biodiversity. More things exchanging in more ways create a more stable and resilient natural ecosystem. So back to our digital seed packets, with enough exchange, perhaps, a digital currency can be staked and engineered for meteoric rise in future value. The next question would be, what kind of ecosystem would be best to power a crypto reparation currency? Let's just call it what it is. You'd first need a marketplace designed around essential human needs, one that facilitates regular exchange in high volumes. Second, you'd want a brand that people love, one that inspires deep loyalty so that you're never just a commodity. Exchange always happens for deeper reasons than basic need. Like the Apple brand has probably achieved this. Finally, you'd want an ecosystem, this essential ecosystem to achieve network effect or compounding exponential adoption, which is what happens when a TikTok, an Airbnb, or DoorDash goes viral and emerges. And ease of use and user-generated content are all key in this. So, okay, quick, a disclaimer. We are building an ecosystem. Boom, big surprise. More on that soon. And yes, there was a currency on the roadmap for this ecosystem. And yes, it's designed to meet all the qualifications just mentioned. But we've only just recently realized what the potential and implications of a well-designed, and I'll only say this once, of a reparation coin could be, incubating value across several years and millions of exchanges in an ecosystem that we already happen to be building. Before, cryptocurrency was kind of the cherry on top of our design. And now we realize that it'll serve a much higher purpose as the cream filling, so that with every bite, more magic spreads. So anyway, disclaimer done. I'll talk a little bit more about this ecosystem. Imagine a straight line, and it is your quality of life, the straight line, or your well-being. At the left far end of the line is minus 100, representing death. And at the far right is plus 100, representing your best life. And in the middle is zero, or just okay. The healthcare industry is concerned with everything from minus 100 to zero. After you arrive to zero, they kind of release you to the world. The wellness industry is concerned with all the things that take you from 0 to 100. Preventative, holistic, alternative health methods also fall in here. So as health coaches for several years, my brother and I learned and watched a sobering but true fact play out. That 4 out of 5 people on earth will die from a reversible chronic disease, and 3 of those 4 will die likely 2 to 4 decades early, primarily from avoidable lifestyle choices. Ironically, we found out that the wellness industry, while is growing at a really rapid rate, but global wellness scores continue to decline annually. And we began to look and try to understand why. The healthcare system might be broken, we realized, but the wellness care system was never put together. There is a $6 trillion global industry with no real organization or infrastructure. Now, the healthcare industry is extremely organized and efficient, starting with insurance provider networks, which their true genius is enabling any sick person within one call to connect with a first-class specialist. Until the 20th century, that was a luxury for most people, and now it's expected. The wellness world, however, is still like the Wild West. There's no infrastructure to guide patients to providers and low incentives for struggling providers to remain in practice. And so we found our mission, changing the world by empowering the world's working poor and middle class to significantly improve their global wellness scores over the next 15 to 20 years. This not just physical wellness too, social, financial, and other wellness measures. And we've also found our means by organizing the wellness industry, create a platform company designed to serve as the infrastructure for an emerging wellness ecosystem. Now, here's how we do it. We'll create an aspirational wellness marketplace designed to organize and promote an ever-growing suite of wellness-based providers, products, and services. We'll begin in 3 core verticals, each reflecting an essential need, and I'll go into those. The first vertical is co-living, or real estate, and we'll touch on just a few things on the roadmap. It'll be a wellness-based co-living model using a disruptor model that generates 3x to 20x traditional revenue models. This model is scalable all the way from commercial homes to commercial campuses and buildings, even abandoned malls. The brand is, imagine, affordable meets aspirational, and the culture feels the same everywhere. Self-owned and micro-franchise locations will exist across the globe and create a global network of wellness co-living destinations, which evolves into a host-centric OTA, or online travel agency platform, that becomes an Airbnb competitor in the future. Massive volume of positive exchange in the physical world happens, spurring deep brand loyalty, and it becomes the bedrock of our wellness ecosystem, the financial bedrock. The second core vertical, self-development. This vertical exists of a curated marketplace of world-class self-improvement and transformational, as well as disease-reversing programs. So it's kind of like a masterclass for wellness. It'll be targeted, though, at the working and middle class. There'll be gamified wellness models and corporate wellness programs, also customized easily to different users. And it may evolve in the future to like a Gaia Netflix for wellness, using a TV streaming model. And the third core vertical is technology, of course. And there's 2 aspects that we look to develop. From one, a provider network, which starts out as kind of like a Yellow Pages or a Yelp for wellness. It's a modern referral network with subscription levels from personal to enterprise levels that offer insurance-like discounts for services. And then the final piece is AI. And AI will exist as kind of a personal wellness assistant that's actually co-created by the user. And it creates a feedback chain between the content provided throughout our ecosystem, the users, and the providers. Engagement can range from accountability partner to just a distant friend checking in, and it'll also be embedded within the search platform throughout the ecosystem. Now, here's where we're at now. We have a disruptor model that does generate 3 to 20 times what traditional rental revenue models generate. We are attempting to scale that model from residential homes to 2 commercial campuses within the next 18 to 24 months. And the culture does feel the same everywhere. That is kind of our secret sauce. In the self-development vertical, we're launching a series of world-class lifestyle transformation programs in 2025. And from the technology vertical, we are mapping out our early stage proof of concepts for both our AI and provider networks. And here's where we see ourselves in this greater vision in 1 to 5 years. In that time frame, we look to see a wellness ecosystem of essential services beginning its evolution into a technology company at a $100 million plus valuation. This essentially requires generating $1 to $10 million in revenue a month. And we see the initial launch of a cryptocurrency by then, and we see the seeding of our initial earliest adopters happening by then also. Within 5 to 8 years, we see ourselves as a wellness technology ecosystem valued at 10 billion plus. Our altcoin will have a market cap of 100 billion plus, and we'll have 100,000 plus service providers with 50 million plus users using our platform worldwide. Within the next 24 months, we look to, like I said, to have continued validation of our essential services model and look to achieve stability with 7 to 10x growth up to 2 to 4 million a year within 18 to 24 months. Now, here are our current gaps. We are the primary producer of essential services in our current ecosystem, but you have to start somewhere. We need providers. We need to build the platform that they'll use. We need to iterate and validate our initial and long-term crypto approach. We need a trustworthy, motivated, highly skilled executive team that can regularly exceed expectation. We need a strong core of co-founders committed to creating and developing this vision. So to develop an asset that can potentially fund global reparations, we must house it and incubate it within a high volume ecosystem. To do this on track, in 2025, we need a full ecosystem design and plan and team. Our commercial housing model and our franchising model must be prepared for launch. We need development and validation of future technology aspects, committed co-founders and first-generation team members, and of course, significant partnership and capital investment. If you received this message at this early stage of development, it's for a very specific reason that may or may not yet be readily apparent. Determine if this is something you feel compelled to see happen. Reflect on the resources you have or the people that you know that can readily contribute. The first critical action that you can take is to reach out to the person that sent you this and let them know of your willingness to contribute, even if you don't know how yet. The second thing you can do is listen to this again. Absorb the idea more. Reflect on any thoughts or questions it brings up. How can you add to this? The third and final thing you can do is to never forget the greater mission and the greater goal. A great future lies over the horizon, and our time draws near.